Hey everyone, this is Ryan from Aethix Fitness, and you are listening to Season 2 of the Aethix Approach podcast, the podcast where we highlight inspirational vegan athletes and what they do to absolutely kill it on a plant-based diet. If you haven't already, it would really help out if you subscribed to, liked, commented, and or shared any of the content I'm producing, including this podcast, Aethix Coaching Services, articles and training programs available on aethixfitness.com, videos on YouTube, and more. Links for those will be in the description, and I truly appreciate everyone listening for all of the continued love and support. In this episode, Julien Desroches joins me to talk all about bulking on a plant-based diet. For anyone who isn't familiar with the term, bulking is a name for intentionally overeating to gain more weight and should be combined with a properly planned resistance training program. The goal with bulking is to put the body in a more anabolically primed state to pack on more muscle quicker than the individual otherwise would while eating less. Under the vast majority of circumstances, bulking comes with some inherent fat gain along with the muscle gain, so the goal is to minimize the amount of fat cell accumulation through this process. After reaching a target body weight or strength goals, a bulking or mass gain phase is usually followed by a cutting phase, where the goal is to strip body fat back down while attempting to hold on to as much of that newly gained muscle tissue as possible. Julien is currently in a bulking phase and has been noticing some impressive progress, even after more than 8 years of training. Julien and I get into the nitty-gritty of bulking up on a plant-based diet, who should do it, why they should do it, and tips for planning a successful mass gain-focused training cycle. We also get into training as a natural after many years, body dysmorphia, our favorite sources of plant-based protein, favorite meals for a bulk, specific tips and tricks we picked up over the years to pack on weight, which would be great for hard gainers, and much more. I really hope you enjoy the episode, and you can find Julien on Instagram at @plantsformed, that's PLANTS formed, as in transformed, or on our joint TikTok at Beefless Bros. Without further ado, on with the show. What's up, guys? This is Ryan with the Aethix Approach podcast, and today I am here with Julien Desroches. Julien, I got your last name right?
Desroches.
Desroches?
You were close. You're close.
Dude,
you're close.
how do I get it wrong after all this time? I'm so embarrassed right now.
It's close. A lot of people say Desroches, so that's close. That's closer. So.
Oh shit! Okay, either way. All right, close enough. So Julien has been one of my longtime friends now. We both met when we were vegetarian, right? I guess.
I think I was vegetarian, but I think you were vegan. What 2015? I think.
Yeah, 2015 in college, and yeah. I guess we both went vegan like very shortly after, if I wasn't already. Because Julien, you've been vegan for 6 years now.
No, it's 4. Cause
okay.
Yeah. So I think it was like a year or two after you.
Okay.
You're 6 years, right?
7 years now.
7 years. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, 7 years right now, February.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, celebrating the 7-year anniversary.
Nice.
Yeah, so Julien, you got into lifting a little before you went vegetarian, right?
Yeah. So I went vegetarian in May 2016.
Okay.
Yeah. And I started lifting in 2014.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And you started off so you were like 6 feet tall from when you started lifting, roughly, right? And you went from what, 140 pounds soaking wet to 200 lean? Now?
So not 140, like probably 160. But
okay.
And then yeah, like right now I'm like 201.
Okay.
202. Right
yeah. So you gained a ton of muscle, mostly vegan, right? Mostly plant-based?
Yeah, because I said, mostly plant-based. I built most of my muscle plant-based, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So and you were a big advocate of kind of maintaining for a couple years now, right? Like you've been training for what, 10 years or so, and you did bulk and cuts, but the past couple years you've been maintaining more?
Yeah, so I'd say like the past 2 years or so, I was like, you know what, I don't really like cutting per se. So I was like, let me just try to main gain, because like a lot of people are like going the route of main gaining, where it's like, okay, you could just like not really gain a ton of fat and just like slowly gain over time. But like recently I decided, you know what, like let me just try bulking again, and I think I have more knowledge where like cutting won't be as bad for me. But yeah, so right now I'm like leaning towards bulking, but I was in like a main gaining phase for like a year or two. So
Okay, and this was after you doing a few bulk and cuts before, though, right?
yeah.
Okay. How do you feel like the main gaining went for you overall, if you had to compare?
So I wouldn't say it went like terribly, or like not really bad at all, but like when I first started lifting, like that was like where like all the big changes happened. It was like I was like 160 when I started, and then it was like a huge bulk, and then I bulked all the way to like, for my first year, like to 220, 230.
Okay.
So like you could imagine I gained like a ton of body fat. Like most of it was probably body fat.
Full on dreamer bulk.
Yeah, basically. But yeah, so because of that, I gained a lot of like my gains from that time period. So I'm glad I did that, but then I wanted to just like actually still have abs. So I was like, okay,
Yeah.
let me just chill and try to like main gain. And it worked for a bit because I was still like hitting PRs. But I guess right now I'm just looking to like really pack on muscle, and I think the best way to do that is like to bulk essentially.
Okay, yeah.
So
And just to kind of explain some of these things as we go, so a bulk is usually just raising your calories above maintenance, to the extent of like if you're tracking your calories via MyFitnessPal and weighing your food and such, let's say your calories to just maintain your current body weight would be roughly just to throw a number out there, 2,500. Usually a bulk is adding, 250, 500 calories or so for something reasonable. So going up to 2,750, 3,000 calories or so, and kind of tracking your weight via scale and just look in your mirror. And the whole goal here is to try to put on muscle and build strength as much as you can, because it's hard to really put on a lot of muscle without going into a bit of a caloric surplus, by eating more, to kind of push your boundaries a little bit. Like it's hard to maintain the calories you're normally eating and really pack on muscle at a more advanced level. So just to kind of explain what we're talking about there a little bit. And so Julien, you experienced most of your gains lately with this bulk after a couple years of main gaining, and you said like you got good results, but how many more calories are you eating now compared to then? And how would you say, after all that time of not really pushing your calories, how it compares to now?
So comparing my calories to when I bulked in the past, or like before, when I'm not bulking?
Like more recently, when you were just maintaining more.
Okay. So my calories would be around like 2,600.
Okay.
So right now they're at like 2,850.
Okay.
So
not much more.
Yeah, not much more. And also like I noticed that like I put on weight more easily than like other people. Like compared to you, like you need to like really like up your calories.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like 2,850. I'll probably need to like up it a bit so I could like increase in weight. But in the past I had to up it, like when I was hitting like 220, I had to up it to like close to 4,000. So
Oh wow.
yeah.
So it sounds like in a certain body fat range, maybe you can raise your calories up only a little bit and you feel like you put on weight pretty damn quickly, but maybe your body weight set point kind of stagnates at a certain amount of calories, and it's hard for you to really push beyond that level.
Yeah.
And that's when you really have to bump your calories up a ton.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's so there's like big genetic differences there in terms of like some people can get away with eating a lot, and it's hard for them to put on a lot of mass, a lot of fat, a lot of weight in general, and I feel like I fall into that category for sure. Kind of like more of a traditional ectomorph, as they say, with like body types, which basically just means you have to eat a lot to really try to gain weight, and you have a natural predisposition to be leaner and just thinner. And what is it? Mesomorphs, people who just tend to put on muscle easily and usually stay pretty lean. That's what we all want to be.
Yeah.
And then exomorphs, right, which just tend to put on a little more body fat easily, I would say. So they have to keep their calories a little lower for the most part. That's kind of like a bit of a stereotype, very generic, but I feel like it is a decent rule of thumb. So would you call yourself somebody a little more of like a meso-ecto or meso-exo, I guess? Like somewhere in that range where you feel like you put on body fat pretty easily with lower calories compared to other people, maybe?
I'm not sure if I put it on easily, but I don't know. It's like I could, because I guess because I track my calories, I don't really like gain body fat like easily. But if I weren't tracking my calories, then I guess I would put it on more easily. But it's just like easier for me to bulk than it is to cut.
Okay, sure.
So yeah, I guess I'm like a combo, as
Yeah.
you said.
So you're at like 2850, and even with those little amount of the small calorie bump, you've already noticed a lot of progress in the past month or so.
Yeah. So I was pretty surprised. I'm like, I don't know. Is it like the extra calories? Maybe. Maybe it's like me switching up my training a bit. But yeah, I'm putting a little bit of both. I'm saying it's a little bit of both. We'll see how the next month or two go. But yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm happy.
Let's talk about some of your numbers specifically. So you're kind of chasing bench press right now, right?
Yeah, that's like my favorite compound lift. So
Yeah. Yeah. How did your bench progress just from eating a little more food recently?
So it right now I'm trying to go for a 365 bench, but like I don't just go for like a 1 rep max for each bench session, and I don't think that's like really healthy to do. But like for the rep scheme that I'm going for, I'm like almost always hitting it like every session for like the past month. So and I'm like using blocks, and for people that don't know what blocks are, it's just like a block that could attach to the bar. It's like a foam block. And basically it gives a bit of padding to your bench, so you're not doing the full range of motion, basically.
Yeah.
And it could help train you to get used to like heavier loads. So I'm working with like heavier loads right now that I've never worked with before, and they're just going up, and they're like RPE like 7 to like 8.5, and I'm like surprising myself with like the strength gains. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, after a couple years of you're making progress. Like you kept getting stronger, but it just seems like it's way more accelerated. So that's a good sign that even after, lifting for such a long time, you can still make good progress naturally as long as you do the right things. But I really think that to really push it at a certain point, you really do need to get into bulking and cutting. What do you think?
I'm like in the same boat. Like I agree. Especially as a natural.
Yeah.
Like for people that are enhanced, I'd say that like it's definitely easier where they don't even really have to like go through bulking and cutting phases. But
or maybe because they have this enhanced recovery time, and they have all these advantages with muscle protein synthesis and stuff. They can just stay lean, and their hormonal profile is great, and they can just pack in food and pack on weight, and it's like it distributes really well, you know. So they stay lean and they just build all this muscle. Yeah, they'll put on like a little bit of body fat, but let's say they like bulk from like 6% to 10%, they're still ripped. And for a natural, it's like we have to stay more in that like what 10 to 18, 20%, it seems like a lot.
Yeah. So I'd say enhanced people definitely, well, obviously they have an advantage. But, like as a natty, I feel like you definitely need to bulk and cut to see like noticeable like changes quicker.
Yeah.
I'd say,
I totally agree there. And I think that the guys who try to gain all the time, like you said, it is kind of a buzzword lately. Gain is kind of it's kind of just like you're trying to maintain being lean or you know your current body weight while really trying to pack on a lot of muscle. And it's super hard.
It's possible, but but it's like it's gonna be like years and years until like you look back and be like, okay, but like if you want to like I don't know, get the most bang for your buck, if that makes sense, you need to bulk and bulk and cut, I'd say. So
would you recommend it to beginners more or people who have been training for intermediates, advanced?
Recommend
just bulking up and cutting, or would you recommend a beginner maybe should just kind of just get into lifting and you know just not really worry about bulking necessarily?
I don't know. It depends like what their body composition is, I'd say.
Yeah,
like, if they're if they're like overweight, I'd say that just go into the gym and just like start lifting. Don't really like focus on like bulking or like cutting per se. And for people that are like just skinny, like how I was in the beginning, I'd say like you could like start bulking, start hitting the gym, and then you could like cut like months down the road. So
yeah, I totally agree. I do think that bulking and cutting is it's a little more of like an intermediate advanced strategy, but I agree if someone's really small, you know, like I also started off being 150 pounds and kind of skinny fat, and I do feel like I had a pretty tough time putting on muscle at the beginning until I really got my training dialed in. I would say I'm actually not that great of a responder to hypertrophy training overall. I think it took me a really long time, and but for me, like I really always had to push the food and slowly dial down my body fat over the years. But yeah, I would say someone who's a little more overweight, they probably want to just eat pretty well, maybe not intuitively, because if they're overweight, maybe they're gonna try to eat a lot more food. But maybe if they're overweight, maybe cut back the calories a little bit still and just really get into the training. But and then someone who's really underweight, like maybe push it a little bit more at first. But I would say just like once you dial in your training as a novice, like your body composition just naturally improves so quickly compared to the later years, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Like the beginning years.
The novice gains,
the novice gains, like it was insane because that was the time period where like I get the most amount of comments from people I knew.
Yeah.
Like oh, like what are you on, like on steroids or like what? But like I was wearing a shirt, but they'd be like, oh yeah, like you're like so like bulky and what is this? But so
that was pretty fun back then. I remember also being like 18 and really trying to bulk up a bunch and put on a bunch of weight, and I got the steroid accusations, and I looked like shit.
I know. I look back on it, I'm just like, I don't know about that, but
I was just getting fat. It's so funny looking back, but it's a long process, right? It takes a while. It takes years. We've been doing this I've been lifting for 13 years now. What about you?
So seriously, it's gonna hit 8.
8 years.
It's like 2014. Yeah. So,
Damn, that's actually really not that long. Like it's a
I
long
mean,
time, but
some people like, especially in like the fitness community on Instagram, they say like, oh yeah, that's a fair amount of time.
yeah,
But like, yeah, compared to you, like,
yeah,
uh, yeah, like 5 years, but 5 years before me, I guess.
yeah. I guess so.
What year did you start?
I started lifting when I was 2009.
Oh
Yeah,
damn.
2009. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, and yeah, like I said, I don't think I have great genetics for building like muscle in my family. I don't think it was pretty hard for me to really put on a lot of muscle. I'm like a smaller guy, you know. But
I mean, you still like get like comments from people in public though, right?
I
Like,
mean,
like
barely, dude. Like you're fucking jacked. Like you're legitimately you're big and lean, man, which is rare for someone who's natural.
the I don't know. I feel like in this well, like in this day and age, like a lot of people are like being uh
Accused.
I feel yeah, I feel like people like underestimate what's possible as a natural, because I
Yeah.
feel like there's people out there that are natty that are like bigger than me,
Hmm.
but a lot of people think they're on steroids, and yeah, I don't know. For me, it's like annoying seeing that,
Yeah, yeah. That's a
because
good point.
a lot of people just like hopping on stuff
Uh huh.
because they think like, oh, like I can't do anything with like
Yeah,
my genetics. So yeah,
yeah. That's a good point too. I feel like that's a good thing to talk about, like body dysmorphia in general in the fitness community, because steroids have changed everyone's perspective so much on what is reasonably achievable, in a few different ways, I would say.
hmm
I think a lot of times for the guys who are natural, we tend to all feel fat really often, either fat or too small. It's like one or the
yeah,
other.
yeah,
During a bulk, we even if we still have abs, we're like, damn, we look fucking fat.
yeah,
Like we look
yeah.
like shit. And then when we cut down, we're always like, damn, we're too small. And I feel like that happens a lot with guys who are on gear, but they're just always big. So
I know. Yeah, I feel like people like the body dysmorphia is always going to be there. People think that like, oh, once you hop on gear, it's like, okay, like
yeah,
I'm not going to feel like that anymore. But no, I feel like it's just going to be a constant cycle where you're just going to like try to
agreed.
chase that look that you're going for and never actually like achieve it.
Agreed. Yeah.
So
It's I think you have to be this is getting a little more psychological now, but I think you have to be content with yourself, no matter what. Cuz otherwise it's like you're just chasing something you're never going to achieve. Either
yeah,
way, drug free
hmm
or drug free or with the PEDs, and
yeah,
it's that's just not healthy. And it's like circling back into bulking up and such. It's like it is hard. It is a struggle, Like I think it's something that we both kind of talked about before, where you kind of have to really do it to really pack on more muscle and strength at a certain point. But it's like you don't want to lose your like abs and looking good, especially with social media. You
that's
know.
the biggest thing. It's like social media is like a huge thing. Like
Hmm.
even though like I don't really like falling into that trap, but just when I'm when I'm trying to post content, it's like okay, I don't
Yeah.
want to like I want to show like the best version of myself.
Yeah.
What I feel is the best version of myself.
Hmm.
So when I'm not doing that, I'm just like, oh, like I don't want to like post or like
Yeah.
so
And we all kind of fall victim to it a little bit, where we are trying to post good stuff on social media, and we all kind of fall victim to the guys who look the best, who we're comparing ourselves to. And if we feel like we're bulking up and don't look good enough to post photos, and we see these dudes who are like on gear, they're staying ripped all year round, our perspectives are not necessarily healthy there. They're skewed. Like we might be comparing ourselves to somebody who has huge advantages. That can go just for genetics too, because it's such
yeah.
a individualized thing,
I
right?
know, yeah, yeah. Like I feel like people underestimate genetics because yeah, like people can be on gear, but also there's people that just have insane genetics, and it's not great to just like compare yourself to like everybody online because their genetics could just be completely different to yours. So you're never going to look exactly like the person that I don't know, you look up to, or that you see on social media.
Yeah,
Like, but
yeah, yeah.
that's not a bad
It's
thing.
not a bad thing. I agree.
But just like each person is individualized, and each person has their own genetics. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, just like keep pushing your own progress and compare yourself to yourself. And it's cheesy,
exactly.
but otherwise, I feel like people are gonna get exhausted, burn out, and just beat themselves up. You know.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and then it's just all about just pushing yourself. Like, I'm never gonna be as big as like I'll never be as big and lean as you, dude. Like a comparison between us, it's just not in my genetics. But like, I'm still happy with my progress over the years for sure. Because like, I look at where I came from and I'm like, damn, like I was this little skinny, fucking nerd, and I'm still like pretty thin. But comparing my body composition, I'm like, I'm happy with it over the years. And I think that's something that we have to just kind of accept.
Yeah, it's like the same for me. It's like there's people online that I believe are natural that like I'll
Hmm.
compare myself to,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, yeah, I'm never gonna reach that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm looking at like like how I look, or how I looked like a month or so ago when I
Sure.
like was leaner, and
Uh-huh.
then comparing it to like what, like 2 years ago, where I was
Uh-huh.
like
Uh-huh.
the same body weight,
Hmm.
and I'm like, wow, like my body composition actually like
It
changed. And
improved.
and like years ago I was like, yeah, I think I'm like reaching my limit where
Hmm.
I'm like 200, and I have abs, but I'm like not as lean. But like now I'm leaner
Hmm.
and more defined, and I'm at that same body weight. So yeah, I feel like people underestimate like how long you can like keep making progress as a natural. So
Yeah, let's talk about that, man. So a lot of people call their genetic potential, their natural genetic potential, like 5, 10 years maybe. And they say we're all capped out by age 25, 30, something like that.
mm,
And following some of these natural bodybuilders, who I really believe are natural, and they complete drug tested their whole life. Their whole thing is, you know, being natural. They only coach natural athletes, like the 3D MJ guys.
mm,
You see some of these guys, and I think your average person would be like, oh, they're clearly on steroids.
yeah,
They're insanely jacked. But then you find out they're competing in 156 pounds body weight on stage at like 5'9" or something. Um, like they're not. If you see them in real life, with a t-shirt, you might be like, do these guys even lift? But like that's the realistic aspect. It's like you can look insanely good in photos and as a natural, and also just be a generally big guy. But when you die down, yeah, like there is a bit of a trade-off there. It's a huge illusion.
well,
Um,
that's the thing. Like bodybuilding is like it's basically all illusion. Like
yeah,
that's why they have like lat spread, they have double bicep. You're just trying to like make yourself look as big as possible with
yeah,
all the posing
yeah.
and lighting. So
What do you think? What do you think about the whole term natural potential? Do you think it's a real thing? Do you think there's a cap? What age would you say? How many years if you had to?
I mean, I say like everybody has like a natural potential, but like people usually think it's, I don't know, like 5 years max, and then they're
Yeah.
like, okay, time to hop on. Some people do like after 2 years. It's just like, okay, like noob games gone, like time to hop on. Like
Hmm.
kids out of high school, they're like doing songs and
Yeah.
and like stuff like that. I'm just like,
Yeah.
oh my, like no,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Um, yeah, I totally agree. I actually, if I had to say, uh, I think it's very individualized. I think it depends how healthy you keep yourself, how hard you train, your injury history, things like that. But I think that someone who does everything right can legitimately progress into their early 40s, maybe even like 50, man. Because
yeah. Because
I'm thinking,
yeah, I think like you could make it way past your 30s. I think into your
yeah,
40s. Yeah, yeah. So
I hear from guys who do this their whole life. Like I just read what they post online, and they say like some of their best results are in their 30s actually, which I think is pretty interesting because a lot of times we're like, oh, our hormonal profiles are maxed out, in our 20s, and like, everyone hears this thing about like testosterone levels going down after 30, which I keep seeing more and more evidence saying that it's not true. It's more of a lifestyle thing.
yeah.
Um, So, and also it's like you have to get into the argument of how much do hormone levels in the natural range even really matter for putting on muscle? Because you see some dudes who like powerlifters, and they'll post their blood tests, and they'll have like pretty low testosterone levels sometimes. Like it,
Mm.
not low, but like in the natural range, and it's just like, obviously it's an important thing, but out of the natural range, how much of a difference does it make? Well, in the natural range, how much of a difference does it make? You can have good levels up into your 60 plus. I don't know. It depends. So
Yeah,
it's something to think about.
it is because like a lot of people just I feel like a lot of people are like using that I don't know as an excuse kind of to like
Sure.
hop on stuff because it's like okay like I'm being like prescribed but I don't know it's just I feel like yeah it could you could go a while like five or so years just like natural
Hmm.
and then see where you are from there and then I don't know it's just it's insane to me that they're just like a lot of people just like hopping on stuff so soon. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I totally agree, man. Yeah, I think people just really discount how far you can get as a natural because, like we've been experiencing, we'll post a TikTok or something with good lighting and like a pump, and we'll just get mad steroid accusation, and
no,
it's
and
like,
it's crazy because and on top of that, because we're vegan too, they're like, oh,
sure,
like we were getting comments like, oh, like you're not vegan, bro. Like,
yeah,
like I'm like, I'm like okay,
yeah, okay, man, like you're some random fucking internet troll who knows nothing about me, but
yeah,
sure, I'm not vegan. Okay.
cool, yeah. And if you say you're, and then if you say you're vegan, like, okay, well, like obviously you're on like a bunch of shit. Then I'm like, okay, I'm not, but cool,
Yeah.
you do you.
Yeah, no one's ever really gonna believe anybody else on the internet. I get it. Like,
Yeah,
nobody knows who we are,
yeah.
or like who anybody else is. Like, sure, I think there are people out there who really push the limits there, and it makes me question it sometimes too, you know?
Hmm, hmm.
But I'm not. I don't know. I don't know about you, but I don't feel any urge to ever like call anybody out through a comment.
Yeah, the
Like, it's
yeah,
like
same.
whatever.
It's like I'm like way more reserved, especially like nowadays, like in the past 2 or 3 years, because I'm seeing people that like years ago I'm like, oh, like I don't know if they're natural, but like especially like with my progress too, like
Hmm.
I don't know. When I first started before I like started lifting, if I saw myself today,
Yeah,
I might think that like I'm not natural.
agreed.
So yeah,
Agreed.
so I'm just like I don't really want to just like go after people because who knows like they could have insane genetics.
Hmm.
But I'll just be very cautious and like skeptical
Yeah.
with some people.
Yeah. And
So
like you said earlier, just compare yourself to yourself and do this shit for long enough and eat right, train right, and eventually you'll know what's possible for you.
exactly, exactly.
And do you think that you can ever reach, let's say, the peak of what, let's say, is theoretically possible for you to achieve naturally without bulking and cutting? To circle back to the whole bulking conversation again.
So like what could I?
Like, do you feel like let's say you have this theoretical natural limit for the best you could ever possibly look natural. Do you feel like you could reach that point, or anybody could reach that point, without doing bulks and cuts, and just trying to quote unquote main gain their way there? You know?
Uh, they could uh do it like maintaining, but it's gonna take way longer.
Hmm.
And if you want to really like fast track it, it's better to just like bulk and cut, especially as a natural.
Yeah.
Like if you're on PEDs, I'd say like okay, like main gaining, like that probably be ideal. And I
Hmm.
think Greg Doucette's the one that like coined the term. I could be
It's
wrong.
it's been a thing before that, but that
It's been,
motherfucker
but yeah,
just
but he's
blew it
the one that
up.
blew it up. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So and like it's interesting because he's like on TRT. So
Hmm.
and he advocates for it.
Hmm.
So I don't know like if it's like really ideal for naturals though. So
Yeah. If I honestly, if I had to say something, this is all just speculation. There's no studies on this sort of stuff that I'm aware of or anything, but if I had to really make a call there, I honestly think that the best natural bodies builders in the world wouldn't get to where they were without bulks and cuts. But That's just my speculation, because I feel like you there's like a limit that your body just doesn't want to go to unless you literally just give it enough food.
like
And I
like for kind of force it slightly, force it
Yeah.
slightly. So,
Yeah, it's definitely forcing it. And yeah, that comes along with a little bit of body fat gain. It's just part of the package, you know.
mhm.
And it's like yeah, you eke out like an extra pound to half a pound in like a bulk or so of muscle that you normally couldn't hang on to, depending on how many, pounds of weight you gain overall. But yeah, let's say you gain like a pound of muscle to each 2 pounds of fat you gain, like or yeah, like you gain double the amount of fat. Then you like, the idea is you strip back, you cut back down, and ideally you hold on to just a little bit of that extra muscle before that you couldn't hold on to before. That's the whole idea behind it. But you have to get into like the aspects of like, well, can you when you cut back down, can you really hold on to that extra muscle? It's like that's where all the speculation comes in. Like, could you have ever built that? Would it have just taken more time? I don't know. And like in my opinion, I feel like personally I would really have to push the bulks at least a little bit. And I've heard some bodybuilders who they try to push their body weight in their off seasons and really try to push all their numbers and hit like let's say they bulked up last time to 210 pounds body weight. This next bulk that they do over the course of a year and a half or something, they hit that like 215 body weight. Their numbers are a little bit better. Normally they would never get those numbers leaner, or whatever. And I think that's an interesting approach. I just think it comes with like, yeah, each time you bulk back up, your body composition might be a little better, but it's like, how much of a trade-off do you want to make with how far you push that body fat percentage? Because cutting
Yeah.
back sucks,
It's not no, because that's why I was like so hesitant like over like the past 2 years with like bulking, because cutting like in the past just like sucked for me and it was just like miserable.
Uh-huh.
And I think I have like a better idea of like how I should cut and what would work best for me.
Hmm.
But like in the past, I just I cut my calories so low where I was just like miserable and I
Uh-huh.
didn't really add like any cardio.
Hmm.
And then like the end result was that like I actually like lost a bit more muscle than I'd like to.
Sure.
So yeah.
More of a crash diet almost?
Uh, I guess slightly.
A little
Yeah.
bit? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've noticed I did a really bad crash diet before, and I definitely noticed you feel way more tired, way hungrier.
Yeah.
Everything just sucks a little more. It makes the whole process so much worse. And
Yeah.
yeah, you can do it faster, but yeah, you lose a little more muscle usually, as opposed to a slower approach where you slowly over the course of like weeks, months, you lower your calories a little bit, like 100 ish, per day, per every couple weeks or so, until like the scale starts stagnating, like you aren't losing weight anymore. Then you drop those calories another 100 or so.
Mhm.
That feels like a good approach to me because you never really get super hungry. Like yeah, you get a little hungry eventually towards the end, obviously,
Yeah.
but you're not like starving all the time. Your energy levels are still pretty good.
Yeah. Mhm.
Is that your approach now for cuts?
Yeah, basically, just
Okay.
like over time, just like 100 calories, 200 calories over like the course of weeks and months, and
Yeah.
then uh, also just like adding like some light cardio, not crazy
Hmm.
intense cardio.
Hmm.
I think that combo has been working pretty well for me. So
Okay.
yeah.
That's with your cuts, or do you have cardio when you're bulking too? Like right now?
No, like I've been looking into doing that, but like right now, no, right now,
Yeah.
yeah,
What
because
are some?
just for heart health.
Yeah, yeah, sure, sure. I like to try to incorporate a little cardio all the
Mhm.
time, but there's only so much time in the day, man.
Yeah.
What are some bulking tips that you feel like have worked really well for you that maybe you haven't done before?
Bulking tips.
Yeah, just in general.
I guess don't just when I first started, I just did like a dreamer bulk
Yeah.
where like I just ate everything in sight, didn't really like care too much about like protein per se.
Hmm.
But I was like, okay, I'm skinny right now. Let me just like up my calories to like 1,000 more than what like my maintenance was.
Which is a
And
lot. That's a
yeah,
lot.
yeah, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It was like when I just started out, so I didn't really know better. But like, I don't know. I'm I have the muscle I have today because of all the things I did in the past. But still,
Mm-hmm.
like, there's better ways to go about it, I'd say. And I'd say up your calories week by week by like 100 calories over maintenance, and
Mm-hmm.
then um, if you're still at the same weight, then up another 100, 200. Same as like a cut, basically, just in
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
reverse. So
That's great advice, man. Do you think, what would you say to somebody who maybe wants to gain weight but doesn't want to track calories? Do you think tracking calories is really, really helpful? You think it's essential?
it's not essential. Uh, I've been doing it for so long now that's just like second nature, and
Uh-huh.
um, I don't mind doing it. But
Mm-hmm.
if you don't want to track calories, I really encourage people to just like know the calories in the food they're eating,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe just even for like a week or two, track your food.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you don't have to like set a goal for like the amount of calories that you like want to eat, but just like track your food and see how many calories you're eating per day on average.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, you could be like, okay, like now I could add 100 or 200 more calories of food to what I'm eating if I want to bulk.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, that's great advice for sure. In terms of training, just without getting too into it, if you had to tell somebody who was bulking up, is there any way they should adjust their training or anything? In general, maybe what are some good training practices that you think are really good to do, and just in general for building muscle?
okay. For building muscle, I'd
Uh
say
huh.
like for go for a hypertrophy type of training.
Uh huh.
Um,
What are like some general, like you should definitely do this to build the most muscle possible? Like in terms of what exercises, what rep ranges, how many days a week, frequency in terms of hitting each muscle.
yeah, so I do definitely add compound movements to your training.
Hmm.
Uh, um, and rep ranges, I usually for building muscle, I think the 8 to 12 range is good.
Hmm.
I usually do like 3 to 4 sets. Uh, but yeah, like bench, squat, deadlift. I don't deadlift, but like I
Hmm.
know it's like good, but I'm just like it doesn't really appeal to me.
Uh huh.
But uh, yeah, but like pull ups are like extremely good for
Sure.
just building the lats. Uh,
Just in general, mainly focus on compound lifts and try to push your numbers up slowly.
that's what I usually do. Like
I
if I'm
agree.
like bulking, I'm like, okay, yeah, I want to like get my numbers up.
Uh huh.
Get my numbers up in the gym, like to show that I'm like built like show that like I'm having like progress in the gym.
Hmm.
Besides just like uh me gaining weight.
Uh-huh.
So yeah.
What are there any changes that you would make to your training for when you're bulking versus cutting?
Uh, I think just like go heavier, I guess. But like for like the past year, so I've just been consistently just on a heavy streak where I'm just like, okay, I just want to go heavy. But I balance it out with just like hypertrophy. So
Uh
I'm
huh.
like, it's like kind of like a power building type training style that I do. But
Okay.
yeah,
So mainly the same. Maybe you just push progressive overload a little quicker because
yeah,
you can recover quack quicker and like you're making more progress.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
basically. So
Okay, that makes sense. In terms of maybe specific diet stuff, in terms of eating plant based and trying to gain weight, what are some good foods for gaining weight for somebody who is kind of new to this? What would you recommend?
so for gaining weight and bulking, like my go-to is like, especially if I'm like low on calories at the end of the day, is peanut butter.
That's a great one. Yeah.
Peanut butter's like it's saved me for years. It's just
Uh
like
huh.
my go-to. Like for smoothies, like add like 2 servings of peanut butter, and that's like what, like 380 calories.
Yeah.
And yeah, probably towards the end of my bulk, I might just add more smoothies. But in the past, just like having like a 700, 800 calorie smoothie would just like help me a ton.
Yeah.
So like add protein powder, peanut butter, banana, some soy milk. That could be like 40, 45, 50 grams of protein, 600, 700 calories. So, yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree, dude. I think one of the reasons why smoothies are so great are because you could just take them on the go. You know, a lot of times people who have a hard time gaining weight, they just they don't have great appetites, or maybe they're just really busy. Either way, I think smoothies are great because they can take them on the go. They don't fill you up as much because they're calories you just drink, which seem like they're not as satiating as sitting down and really chewing your food and eating that way. You just feel a little less full from drinking 1,200 calories of a smoothie versus eating a huge bowl of food that's 1,200 calories. Unless maybe it's all deep fried in oil and stuff.
True. Yeah, because like in the past, before I was even vegan, like I get the mass gainer shakes, which were like 1,000 or so calories, and that helped me a ton of just like bulking up. So just smoothies in general are just like a big thing that you should like implement when you're bulking. So
I totally agree with you. I think that's one of the best things. Peanut butter, like you said, just throw peanut butter in a smoothie, some fruits. You could do a higher calorie plant milk, like what's a higher calorie one? Like oat milk is a little higher, I guess.
Oat milk. Silk has the nut milk, the 130 calorie. It's like 130 calories.
Okay,
10
is
grams
that
of protein.
Is that the oh man, did they stop making that one? It's a 10 grams of protein one, right?
No, I actually have it in my fridge right now.
Oh, nice.
It's harder to find. But
Okay.
yeah.
Anything that's like a higher calorie one is really good. And then you could throw in, honestly, I was drinking 1,200 calorie smoothies when I was really pushing my weight. For me, because I have to push it so much. I was throwing like a cup of oats in there, dude. I was throwing like a bunch of hemp seeds, flax seeds, chia seeds. It was super healthy. I think it's the best way to get in healthy, like nutrient dense foods that are also it's very high in calories.
I agree.
And then I think some other options just I'll throw out there. I think oatmeal's great. You can pile that up with peanut butter on the side and stuff. Mix it with protein powder, granola on top, fruit, seeds. I think that's great without being, in my opinion, super, super filling. And then I would throw in pasta. I think pasta's a great one. Yeah.
Pasta.
Yeah. Just regular whole wheat pasta, because if you're bulking up, you're probably getting a lot more protein already, just from more calories. And then, you could throw so many things on that. If I had to throw anything else out there, a stir fry with nuts and like tofu. I think that like cooking with nuts and seeds, because they're fats and they're just way more calories without being super filling. Other great options there. What are there any others that you stick out to you? In terms of meals?
Because I think those are like my go-tos, like oatmeal.
Yeah.
Which I have like probably 3 times a week. Pasta I have like multiple times a week. But like with pasta especially, like I don't really get too full from pasta, so I could have like three servings, 3 or 4 servings of it.
Agreed.
And I won't really like feel too full, so I feel like that's a great bulking food.
Agreed.
But on top of that, they have like protein pastas and they have like bean pastas. So like what, 10 to like 15 grams of protein per serving, and you have like 3 or 4 servings, like over 50 grams of protein then. So, yeah, the bean pastas are great. Man, that kind of makes you want to really quickly get into some really good protein foods on a plant-based diet, because I feel like that's something I never talked about in a podcast yet. And I feel like you and I eat a lot of the similar stuff in terms of the high protein, vegan stuff. I like you just said, plant-based are the bean-based pastas. Explorasia, they have that black bean pasta. It's 180 calories per serving, right? And 20
or 22 grams of protein.
Oh yeah, it's like an insane number like that.
Yeah.
The thing that sucks is that like I don't really like the texture of that, so I never really like get the black bean pasta. But other pastas besides that are just like the edamame, which I like the texture of that. Lentil pasta, and those are like 13 to like 14 grams of protein per serving.
Still a lot.
Yeah. And then Barilla, like the pasta brand has like just a protein version of their like spaghetti and all of their pastas, and that's like 10 grams. So I think it's like a combo of just like multiple like wheat and beans or something like that.
Okay.
But yeah, it tastes like pretty similar to regular pasta is what I'm getting at. So there's like a whole variety of just like protein pastas that you could check out. So
right, and then for a super high protein meal there, throw in seitan, throw in Gardein meatless meatballs, throw in TVP. You could even do lentils, soy curls. Yeah, you can make that like an easy 70 grams of protein meal. What are some other staples of protein for vegan options for you?
So what is it? Sometimes I like making like protein French toast or protein pancakes. So put like protein powder, what is it, like flour, a vegan egg, mix it and then just make it, or like the just egg omelets, which have like I add like 3 servings and it's like 15 to 20 grams of protein for an omelet. What else? Oatmeal for sure. I usually add like half a serving of protein powder to my oatmeal.
Like seitan, TVP, soy curls, you said.
Yeah.
You a fan of mock meats?
Oh yeah. I try to go for like, I try to balance it out. Like I go for like the healthier options like tofu. I guess soy curls would kind of fall into that. And then sometimes I'll get like Beyond or Impossible or Gardein. But yeah, like I definitely try to have like a mock meat, whether that's tofu or whichever, with my meals. So,
Yeah, mixing in protein powder is a really good, easy one because there's just so many foods you can just mix in protein powder and make super dense. And then obviously protein bars. There's a lot of vegan ones, no cow bar, builder's bar.
Complete cookie.
Yeah, complete cookies are great for bulking, actually.
For bulking, I have them for bulking, actually, right now.
I'm going to throw out a couple bulking hack foods, in my opinion, real quick. Complete cookies, I think, are one of the best vegan bulking hack foods. They're just so convenient. They're an easy 460 calories. People don't realize how many calories they are.
I know, it's crazy. It says like 230, but like they don't realize that's like cookie. per half a cookie, so 2 servings.
Yeah, and that's 16 grams of protein, so a little bit of protein there. Not a ton.
It's not a crazy amount, but just the calories for bulking.
Yeah, and then plus obviously, like you said, peanut butter, nuts, seeds in general. Bagels, I think, are great for bulking. You can eat like 2 bagels for breakfast really quick, and that's like 600 calories potentially. I really like fig bars. You know those things?
Oh, like Fig Newtons?
They're like, I think they're literally called
the
fig bars.
Oh.
Nature's Bakery?
Nature's Bakery. Those.
This was a little, you know what? I was doing this before, I swear to God. But, Eric Buchenhagen, he started talking about those damn fig bar things and being like a hack for him to gain weight. And those things they're little tiny Fig Newton things. I think they're 300 calories per like 2 of the whatever the package is, and they're not filling at all. You could just crush like 4 of those easy for like.
They don't have high
calories.
protein though, right?
No.
Okay, yeah, because that's awesome. But like they definitely are high in calories though. So,
yeah, and then those I was crushing all those. But yeah, Builder's bars are also a higher calorie protein bar. Do you have any other good hacks like that? I know I push my calories a little higher for the most part, but do you have any?
I guess cereal is like a good one.
Cereal, good, yeah.
like protein cereals. Kashi is like
Yeah.
a really good protein cereal.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh man, there's one I just found the other day.
I was just about. I think I know which one you're talking about. The cinnamon
Yeah.
toast crunch.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah,
my God.
it's
It's
I have it
keto.
in
Oh, Catalina Crunch.
Catalina Crunch. Yeah, yeah.
They're
So I
good.
eat. It's lower in calories though, so you could
Uh,
also use it for bulking, but it has like what, like 11 grams of protein or
per
something
110 calories,
per 110
and
calories. Yeah,
you could mix it with another cereal,
yeah.
like I don't know, like Life or something. I don't know why you
Mhm.
would, but if you want to get in like more calories and you don't want to like waste all the protein cereal, that's
Yeah,
an
yeah.
option. Cereal is a great one, yeah, because it's not filling at all. And then there's one other one I was just thinking of that's really good. It's slipping my mind right now. I can't think of what I was thinking, but there is one other food I want to throw out there. These protein bagels I found recently, made by Western Bagel, 20 grams of protein per bagel. I think they're like
What?
200, yeah, 20 grams per bagel.
Wait,
Um,
wait. What is it again? What? Say the name again.
it's made by Western Bagel.
Western Bagel.
Yeah, just literally Western, Western bagel.com. They have they're a little expensive, but I honestly feel like it's worth it. They have bagels that have either 10 grams of protein or 20 grams of protein, and it's only like I think it's 250 calories. It's pretty low in calories. Yeah, Perfect 10 Max are the ones with 20 grams of protein, I think. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Oh no, I'm sorry, dude. 29 grams of protein per bagel.
What?
Yeah.
Well, damn. Wait. Have you tasted them?
And yo, 220 calories.
For the 29 grams of protein?
29 grams of protein.
What the? That must be like.
Yes.
It must be made of mostly protein powder. Or
Pure
something.
Vital Wheat Gluten, probably.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I'm looking at the ingredients: water, wheat gluten, pea protein, whole wheat
Uh,
flour.
okay.
But other ingredients like flax, sunflower seeds. It doesn't seem like it's really that bad. I'm gonna try these out soon. I
Okay.
haven't tried it yet.
Yeah, I was about to say if you tried them because.
Next cut.
Okay. Cool.
But oh yeah, for seitan, another good option, just buying Vital Wheat Gluten, making your own seitan, super cheap. There's tons of recipes online, and you can mix in Vital Wheat Gluten to a lot of other recipes and make a high protein version of a lot of things. Like you can make air fryer protein buns using Vital Wheat Gluten, lots of stuff. But yeah, those are some really good options for protein, I would say. And I feel like, yeah, man, this is a lot of good info on bulking, I think. And I think that was about an hour. So I don't want to keep you too much longer. But is there anything you feel like we could still touch on for bulking in general?
I don't know. I guess I'll throw this out there.
Yeah.
Like the other day, I made like it's not really high in protein, but I made just like a box brownies with just black beans.
Oh.
Black beans to replace the eggs and the oil, so they're
Mhm.
like a bit healthier.
Oh, okay.
But like I don't know, it ended up being like what 5 or 6 grams of protein per brownie, which isn't a lot, but like it had like
Something.
brownies. Yeah, it had something,
Yeah.
and the brownies had like what 200
Fiber.
Yeah, fiber, and it had like
Mhm.
280 calories or something like that. So if you
Oh,
wanted to
okay.
make that for like bulking and have a little bit of protein in it, then
Yeah.
I guess so. But
Yeah, that's a good one too. All right, Julian, where can people find you on social media?
yes, so you could find me at Plants Formed on Instagram
Hmm.
or on TikTok, Beefless Bros with Ryan.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's our joint TikTok account. And we also we share content between our Instagrams too for that,
yeah,
I guess. But yeah, Beefless Bros rules.
Beefless Bros, yeah.
Beefless Bros forever. All right, man. Thank you for coming on and chatting here. There's lots of good info. So thanks for your time, man. And I'll talk to you later.
Peace.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Aethix Approach podcast. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't already, it would mean a ton if you gave the podcast a follow on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Radio Public, Pocket Casts, Stitcher, Player FM, Pinecast, or any other service you're listening to it on, and if you subscribe to the Aethix Fitness YouTube channel, Instagram page, Twitter, and Facebook page. Feel free to check out the articles, training and nutrition programs, coaching services, and merch on aethixfitness.com. And if you like what I'm making, dropping a like, commenting, and sharing would mean a ton to me. Thank you so much again, and I'll see you in the next episode. Peace out.